the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is
K-N-I-C-K. Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, welcome to the New York Knicks podcast, episode 652. I am Jay. How you doing, Mark?
652 are the number of second-round draft picks that Leon Rose traded for on draft night.
That is also the average contract for a marginal NBA player, apparently.
$652 million?
Yeah, the contracts are... I don't know what anybody's worth anymore. The contracts are so insane.
We've been saying that for years, but it really is.
It's been spiking, like, every couple years, like, exponentially.
The NBA is doing so unbelievably well. They're taking in so much money. And it makes sense that the contracts go up because the NBA keeps making more money, but, like, holy crap, is the NBA printing money? Because guys that are, like, marginal get $15 million a year now.
Well, Tatum just signed the largest contract in NBA history at, I think, $314 million. So
That's insane.
yeah, so that's an average of $63 million a season.
Well, so Obi Toppin got 4 years, $60 million. And Obi Toppin, he had a fine year for the Pacers. And I agree that they should resign him. And the contract, I guess, based on everything else, doesn't sound crazy. I just look at that, I'm like, Toppin is not starting for them. He is coming off the bench.
Yeah.
And you're playing a bench guy $15 million a year, which I guess is no longer crazy, but that sounded crazy a few years ago.
Yeah, I mean, 5-6 years ago, that was like starter money.
Yeah. Okay. So, 30 years ago, you could buy a team for that much money.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. On draft night,
Yeah.
Leon Rose or his people had conversations with the Oklahoma Thunder, right?
Yeah.
They made a trade. They traded a first-round pick for, I think, 5 seconds or some crazy amount of seconds. On that conversation, is there any chance OKC and then the Knicks have made a few trades in the past? I imagine there's some decent relationship there, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Could you just be like, hey, I know we're both competing for the same player. Are you planning to offer Isaiah Hartenstein an astronomical amount of money? Just let us know. Let us know, because if you are, we don't need to do this trade. We don't need to save any money. We can just draft a center right now, because what the hell's going on here? How do the Knicks, they must have known Hartenstein's leaving, and if you know that, why don't you just
I don't think they knew
leave it
that.
right away?
I don't think they knew that. I think Hartenstein would have stayed for less money, and OKC just kept going up. They clearly didn't start at $29 million a season. I think they first offered $20 million, and he said, I'm staying with the Knicks. And then they offered 22, 25, and he's like, I'm not sure. And they're like, fine, 29. And he's just like, well, I can't turn that down. That's
right.
like almost
You basically
double.
have almost double the amount the Knicks are offering per year.
And there seems to be some confusion because of early bird rights. The Knicks can only offer 25% more than his past contract, which was 16. So they could only offer him 16.2 million per year, and OKC offered him 29. Which anybody who's mad at that, I don't know how you could be. He clearly would have stayed for less, but that's like almost double. That's good for him.
Tommy D, who's the smartest man to ever cover the Knicks, everyone should read his tweets. They're just amazing. Wrote that trading for OG and giving him all this money has now resulted in the loss of Isaiah Hartenstein. Completely not understanding those were separate events, and that the Knicks would only offer Hartenstein a max amount of money based on the salary cap.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the Knicks could have offered
almost-
OG $5, and they still could have only offered Hartenstein 16.2 a year.
Yeah. So generally, it seems like almost everyone online understands that besides Tommy D. That's why Tommy D deserves a follow, because you will not believe the stuff he doesn't understand. But anyway, you're right. Obviously it was a negotiation. They did not start at $29 million. But you really think, so the Knicks offered him the max they could offer IHart, and they cleared money for that. I don't know. You don't have inside sources to have a sense of where the OKC is going to go. Because once you know OKC is going to go to 25, you know he's probably gone. So just move on.
Yeah, but they're not going to give an actual number. It probably went something like this. Are you going for iHeart? Yes. And then they go to iHeart's agent. Are you going to re-sign for less? Yes. And then OKC just like goes, fuck it, where you're just going to offer a ridiculous amount. Like, I'm sure they, you know, I don't think anybody thought they were going to offer that much.
So yeah, no, it seems crazy. It seems absolutely crazy. Now, I am not saying anything about. So Leon's awesome. He's done an amazing job here. But do you think he screwed this one up?
No, no.
You don't think
I honestly,
that Leon should have.
I think he was prepared for 20 or 25. I don't think he was prepared for 29. I think that came out of nowhere. There's a reason that it took an extra day for this contract to be agreed upon. Like everybody else was agreeing to contracts June 30th, July 1st. We didn't hear anything right away. I mean,
Right.
and I think it was going back and forth, and I think it was close, and I think that's why they had to go that high.
I do think Isaiah, and they probably won't get into the details, but I do just feel like he probably was willing to take some discount. So you're right. If it was 20, he would have just said it's too compelling to stay.
Yeah.
Maybe Leon goes back with him to go like, hey, we can get you some extra money through like an endorsement deal, but we're not going to get you to $29 million.
Right.
And also everything else, like they're like, his wife is a model. Well, you know, at $29 million, I think she can get over not being in the best city to be a model.
He could buy a private plane so she could fly to LA and New York. So
He's like, I'm going to use $4 million to start a modeling agency. You're good.
right. Yeah. So I mean, it sucks to see him go. He was a perfect fit. He was a fan favorite. But I get it, and I can't be mad at him. That's a crazy amount of money. You can't get mad at that. So
you're not annoyed at all that Leon. I guess in the draft there weren't that many great centers to begin with. There's that guy Kyle Flipanowski who the Knicks could have taken.
who apparently has been groomed by a 28-year-old Mormon, and there's like this whole weird thing that she was his babysitter, and when he was like 16, and now they're like a couple, and it weirded so many people out that he fell out of the first round.
Wait, so this guy's like, yeah, I was nailing my babysitter, and people are like, I don't know if we're gonna draft this stud.
I think the whole babysitter plus like the whole Mormon thing, they thought it was too much. Yeah.
I don't know the Mormon thing, but maybe the combination. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it was the combo. So instead, they drafted the guy who couldn't read.
I'm sorry, what?
They drafted a guy who can't read. Yeah.
Who can't read?
I don't even. One of the Knicks draft picks.
They drafted 4 guys. Who can't read, Jay?
I don't know. There was.
Can you read?
I can read.
Okay, so one of the guys can't read right now. Who, by the way, that contract negotiation will go really well.
Right. You put anything you want in his contract.
What's it say? It might say that you get $1 billion. It doesn't, but it might.
Why don't you read it and find out?
I mean, so I guess in the draft, anyway, there are centers they could have taken. They took one center who was the 58th pick in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think they should have taken a center? I mean, could have hedged their bets a little bit and taken a center earlier. There were like between when they first picked and the center they took, there were 4 other guys that played center that were drafted.
So the guard, Tyler Kolek, is the one who can't read.
He's supposed to be good. But isn't he? I don't understand. He's the guy that is he like a senior? Didn't he play 4 years in college?
Yeah.
I get maybe the freshman guy can't read. The guy that's been going to classes for 4 years can't read?
I think that pretty much confirms the fact that these guys don't actually go to class and just get walked through.
What's the story in him can't read? Not being able to read.
I don't know the story, apparently. He just can't read.
Can't read. This is I typed in Tyler Kolek can't read. The first thing that says, what the fuck? Tyler Kolek will go undrafted because he can't read. It's got to be a joke. This has to be a joke.
I don't know. I've heard it from a few different places, but
apparently he got the lowest Wonderlic score ever. And Wonderlic is this test all the players take.
Yeah, I
He
don't know
got
what the
lowest
Wonderlic test is, but apparently he got a 7.
He got the lowest ever.
So Steve says it's debunked.
Yeah, he has to be able to read.
I would think. Shimmy
It doesn't
says
make
Leon does a great job of not paying players what they're worth, but letting other players pay them. Yeah, in related news, IQ got 35 million, which I think I'm going to go out on a limb and say I'd rather McBride for 4.
You'd rather not pay 35 million for IQ and 28 to 30 million for RJ?
Yeah. So and they signed Barnes for like 40 something million a year. So they're paying like 110 million for IQ, Barnes, and RJ.
Remember those people, the Raptors fans, because when people, there was like an article recently that just came out that said, see, the Raptors fleeced the Knicks. And the trade, we could all say the trade would help both teams. That's great. Say the Raptors fleeced the Knicks is just insane. But people were making the argument when talking about this article. They said, well, after the trade, the Knicks were amazing with OG, and you guys stopped winning games. And the Raptors fans, in response, were like, well, we weren't trying to be competitive. I was like, well, all the players you were trying not to be competitive with are the ones you gave a lot of money to. Why is it going to be different now? You didn't change the team. You just sold the same guys.
I mean, they're almost capped out with those 3. That's 110. The salary cap's 140.
I saw another take that was ridiculous. Was like, hey, Leon could have signed IQ for 25 million a year last offseason. He screwed up by see how much IQ signed for now. I'm like, screwed up. He turned him into OG. Like, the team with IQ and RJ was at basically 500 at the time of the trade, and now it became the 2nd seed. What are you talking about? The Knicks screwed up.
Yeah, no, I think every move has been great so far. And if you feel bad about OG getting 42 million a year, take a look at Paul George's contract, who is 35 and is going to be getting 63 million when he's 38 years old.
Yeah, that's crazy. Also, I mean, Philly will be good next year.
They will.
I saw another thing bragging on Twitter that because Derek White just signed a big contract, and so now the starting lineup for the Celtics, everyone makes 28 million or above. Mm-hmm. And the brag was that the Knicks last year, no one in the starting lineup made under 28 million. I'm like, yeah, did we get a trophy for that? I don't care. Like, you're supposed to spend the most money. The Celtics are going to spend $400 million on their salary cap next year. Great. Rich people own these teams. I hope James Dolan's in a position in the future to pay $400 million for his roster. It doesn't matter. I mean, we don't get any benefit for guys paying
With the new salary cap rules, it does matter because when you hit that second apron, you're restricted from doing almost anything. So that's your roster. I mean, if you have, like the Celtics are pretty much set in their roster, that's fine. But if you hit that second apron and you need to make moves, like that's pretty much your roster.
Right. No, that's fair. I just made the point. Don't brag the Knicks spent less. Like, we don't get any points for that. Like, I mean, it's great the Knicks had good contracts, but it only matters in the sense of we're trying to make a final roster.
Yeah, you need that flexibility to make that one extra move.
Okay. So anyway, in the draft, just to go through what the Knicks actually did in the draft. So they drafted one guy who sounds pretty interesting. Actually, 2 guys who sound pretty interesting. First, the guy that can't read sounds kind of interesting. 4-year player, I believe he's a 4-year player at Marquette. His shooting numbers are really good. He's a 6'3" backup point guard. Sounds like he's got a ton of potential.
Yeah, I mean, I've been reading that he's maybe the steal of the draft. Like, people are very high on this guy. So
yeah, I mean, again, I'm a huge fan of most things that Leon has been transformative for this organization.
Yeah, you need to add some young talent. You need some low contracts on the roster, and you need to keep doing it because one of these guys might break out, and then you got a rotation player for dirt cheap.
I mean, Kolek spent 4 years in college developing. He went from shooting, I think, 39% in his first year, then 32% in his second year, to 50% basically in his senior year. Averaged 15 points a game. He averaged seven and a half assists a game. The guy was a really good player.
7.5 assists in college is a lot.
Yeah, he shot 38% from 3. Like, the dude really did some developing, and maybe because he spent 4 years in college, maybe he can contribute sooner than later. I mean, even if he doesn't play that much, you got guys if guys get injured, this guy could step in. I mean, look what McBride has done. Like,
Or all those
guy
games
could
where the
be-
Knicks are up by 30. Then they could put him in and give him some run.
yeah, it's also like we no longer have Charlie Brown and other like we have like guys who are you could actually develop on the bench. So he sounds interesting.
Yeah.
That guy Pacome, I have no idea how to pronounce his name, but Pacome Diet,
Sure.
Dadiet,
I'm just going to let you hang on this one.
that
The guy from
Pacome
France.
Dadier.
Sure. The guy from France.
Do you have any idea, Jai? Do you know it?
Yeah, just call him Dacomey.
Okay, whatever. He sounds insanely interesting. Also, he might be a stash pick where he spends, which is also annoying that he might be in France again, or it might be in Europe for another year. But the guy's 6'8", he's 18. He's shown a ton of offensive skill.
Mm-hmm.
He seems like a pretty interesting guy.
Yeah,
He's
there's
the guy that said,
a lot of like high potential picks in this draft. I mean, I think they scouted well. This isn't one of those like the next 5 guys after this guy's going to be good. I'm very interested in the guys they actually drafted this time.
yeah, they got that guy Kevin McCullough, which I really don't know much about him, but sounds interesting. He's 23, also like a kind of more developed college player. They did draft a center, Ariel Huckporty, who sounds he sounds like a Jericho Sims type player. Maybe not with the alley, not with quite the hops of Jericho, but he does sound like he's a guy you can develop also, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm more excited about the first 2.
Yeah, I mean, we just need another center, so we can't go into the season with Jericho Sims as our backup center.
No, the Knicks won't. I mean, they're going to get somebody. Although I got to say the centers are going fast. Plumlee signed,
Yeah.
Drummond signed. They had
I didn't want Drummond. I don't know why you wanted Drummond, but I didn't want him.
Jonas, 3 years, $30 million. Why he jumped on a deal with the Wizards, I don't know, because I feel like if he waited an extra day, maybe the Knicks would have made him an offer. Who else? There was
People were talking about Goga. He's gone.
Goga, 3 years, $25 million.
Who else is gone? Most of the centers are gone. The most intriguing names left. So Weissman. What do we think about Weissman? James Weissman.
Not a lot. Not excited about that.
You don't think there's a chance that so first off, just want to point out also, last year, training camp begins. The Knicks have how many small forwards on the roster?
Approximately all of them.
No, small forwards.
Oh, small forwards. One.
How many true small forwards do they have on the roster last year? Like, forget the end of the bench; it doesn't really count.
It was Josh Hart, right?
I mean, is he even a small forward?
I don't.
He's listed as a shooting guard on ESPN. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess he's a small forward, but we really were like, why does this roster have no small forwards? And then by January, we had OG. I mean, now we also have Mikal Bridges. Obviously, a lot could happen between now and next year's playoffs. You have to think Leon has a plan. But yeah, so Wiseman, I don't know. Tibbs is good at developing guys. I mean, Hartenstein came here, signed a 2-year, $16 million deal. He was a backup his whole career. Just got like a massive bag. Maybe Tibbs could develop. I mean, Hartenstein was also much further along, but maybe Tibbs can make something out of. Wiseman has tremendous potential.
Yeah, I don't understand how he hasn't done anything. I saw a couple flashes in Golden State where I'm like, wow, this guy's going to be really good. And then, like, nothing happened. And he couldn't even really make it work out in Detroit. I don't know.
I mean, oh yeah, he could make it Detroit. Just they develop guys. Detroit, what a system there. I mean, you could put goddamn Wemby in Detroit and he'd be like, wow, Wemby sucks. Like, Detroit would just screw up any player. They just gave Kate Cunningham $250 million so they can tank.
They also just paid Tobias Harris $26 million a year.
Yeah, I don't know what Detroit. I mean, Detroit, they're paying $70 million for a guy not to coach their team. Or $70 million, not a year, but total.
Right.
Detroit. So, in my thought with James Wiseman, is maybe a better coach who's going to hold him accountable, will able to kind of get the good stuff out of him. I mean, if you're the Knicks, you go to James Wiseman and go, "Hey, we'll give you $5 million. Maybe you can get better offers elsewhere." Take a look what Hardenstein did, what he signed for, and then what he signed for just now.
Mm-hmm.
We will give you a real opportunity to increase your market value a huge amount, or you could be out of the league in a year or two, whatever you want to do. I mean, obviously those harsh words, but if he really wants to like make something of his career, like the Knicks would be a good place to go.
Yeah, I would try and get Mo Wagner.
I guess. I mean, is Mo Wagner that good? Also, do you think Mo Wagner is just going to go back to Orlando because I don't know, his brother's on the team?
Maybe. I mean, it also depends. He made $8 million last year. Or is Orlando going to top $16 million?
The Knicks can't sign him for $16 million.
Oh, right, the early bird rights.
The Knicks can only sign a guy. That was because IHart was on the Knicks already.
Right.
The Knicks can only spend, I think, like $5 million on a center.
God damn it.
I mean, in theory, the Mikal Bridges trade is not complete yet, so they can send some money out, maybe open up a little bit of money.
Right, I think 2.7 for Dacome, or that one guy at the end
I
of
don't
the bench
know.
that never played.
I don't know how all this stuff works. This stuff makes no sense. But
it's very confusing.
the Knicks could open up a little bit more money. They could also apparently they could re-sign Alec Burks and then put him in a trade.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's a center somewhere else who's on a dumb contract where a team's trying to get off that contract, the Knicks could basically give Burks the 1-year deal maybe to match that. Like if you have 2 years on some center you really don't want, you might trade that to the Knicks just to get off the contract and take a 1-year of Burks.
Yeah.
Just a salary dump. I don't know. I mean, I have to think Leon has some plan here, right?
Thank you, JW. $5.8 million they could spend. There's not a long list of centers out there that are going to go for 5.8.
That's why I think like you have to get a guy who's like, I'm going to look at this as an opportunity to increase my market value. A guy like James Wiseman, whose career is lost right now.
Or do you think they try and do a trade with Mitch and then get a minimum contract center as a backup?
Well, we need 2 centers.
No, I mean trade Mitch for a center and then sign like a minimum wage center.
Well, then we'd still have 1 real center.
Yes.
And also, why are we trading? Mitch is a good center. I'm seeing takes online where people are like, "Hey, Mitch is really good." People are forgetting how good Mitch is. No one's forgetting that. They're just forgetting the fact that he doesn't ever stay on the court.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. You had your sell high if you think he's injury prone. I'd rather keep Mitch, but
is anyone going to give you a better center for Mitch? Because
probably
with Mitch being not being able to stay on the court, no one's going to give you a better deal.
I mean, I would rather keep Mitch, but there has been rumors swirling that they're testing the trade market for Mitch.
Mitch, so basically Mitch in a deal for Capella.
I mean,
Is that the deal you're going to break right now, Jay?
I know we can't record the rest of the week. I know as soon as we finish this episode, like they're going to do something.
I'm going away on vacation tomorrow. Jay hates me for doing this because he knows that since I'm not going to be around to record, the Knicks are about to break major news. So basically, by the time my flight leaves tomorrow, Ayton will be on the Knicks.
Dominating.
DeAndre Ayton will be on the Knicks as soon as my flight leaves.
I mean, would that be very exciting?
Yeah, I think so. You don't want to think Ayton. I think Ayton with Tibbs, I would 100% be down for that.
Does he have the motor?
You would not be?
I don't know. He just seems like he's a little lackadaisical for the Tibbs system.
I feel like guys that are lackadaisical will kind of...
He'll either completely get his shit together, or he'll be a malcontent and want to trade. Like, there's no in between.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of guys would buy in if they had the right coach.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to some questions.
Okay.
First question we got this is from Twitter or X or whatever. Tibba Bros writes, nobody wants to talk about how Mitch has higher value for the Knicks since 4 years, $60 million, with decreasing cap space hit the next few years than IHart, would have been on that ridiculous 3 years, $87 million contract. Really solid center for us. I think the point really is that we'd like to have kept both.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we were guaranteed also that Mitch would not get injured, we'd feel a little better about that. IHart was awesome last year. It's just it'd be nice to have both guys.
Yeah, I mean,
Anton,
yeah, okay.
Anton writes, any chance we can trade for a center, someone like Vucevic or Capella, for a Mitch plus picks?
I would think Vucevic is available. It looks like Chicago's in nuclear blow it up mode.
I wouldn't take Vucevic. Vucevic doesn't protect the rim. He's
No.
not a Tibbs
Yeah,
center.
I mean, I'm just saying he's available, but yeah, he's not. We need a defensive center.
Capella plays defense.
Yeah.
I would take Capella.
Yeah, yeah.
I would.
Although Atlanta might be in blow it up mode too. I mean, they just traded Murray.
Yeah,
They didn't get much for Murray. It's not like it wasn't like an all-star for an all-star swap. Like,
I think they were trying to open things up. Well, first Trey and Murray just didn't really work well together. But I think they were on also open things up for the guy they drafted, whatever his name is, the number one pick in the draft.
right, but they're just gonna throw him like, you're the starter now, and like,
Yeah, why not? I don't know. I mean, you should move Trey also and just like go all in on the young play. I don't know. Maybe this guy's good.
I'm sure he's fine, but like, it doesn't look like they're trying to win games this season.
It didn't look like they were trying to win games last year.
It's true.
I mean, I think they got to the point where they're like, Murray and Trey are not working. We have to move from one. And maybe the offers, I mean, despite the offer not being great for Murray, maybe that was better than the offer for Trey.
Yeah.
I think a lot of teams are like, hey, can we get a guy to shoot all our shots and make and just ruin team chemistry?
Can he also not play defense?
Who was trading for Trey?
He put, like, if you just look at box scores, which I think some front offices must just do, like, you're like, oh, 23 and 9, that's great.
I mean, his shooting percentages, I guess last year weren't so great, but I think generally they're not terrible. They're decent. It's just like, and he gets assists, but people hate playing with him.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem to. I know they had that 1 year a bunch of years ago. They beat the Knicks and they had that run in the playoffs. They've been terrible since.
That's seeming more and
mediocre.
more fluky by the year.
Yeah. Brady writes, simply, where do we go from here?
They're gonna plug in. We're probably not gonna be super impressed, but they're gonna get two more players. They're both gonna be big men. They're gonna get a center and a power forward. Maybe Precious will come back.
We haven't talked about Precious. Precious, give him the $5 million and just convince him to come back. He could be the back. I mean, he's pretty solid for like in small ball center. He's fine.
Yeah,
He's good.
Yeah, yeah. He's only not good at center if he's playing Embiid or the big huge guys. He's not good against. But,
Right.
yeah,
I mean,
if you're going
again,
small
and also
ball.
like we want to be able to beat. I mean, Philly got better with Paul George, right?
They did, but they lost Batum. They signed Eric Gordon. I don't know how much that's going to move the needle. That's their starting small forward shooting guard now. They got Oubre back, so their lineup is looking like Maxey, Gordon, George, Oubre, Embiid, which is a good starting lineup, but they're pretty thin after that.
I mean, their biggest risk really is injuries, but they have a solid. I mean, I don't know how many years PG. I saw online someone was saying they're like Knicks whiffed on this. They should have gotten PG, they should have gotten PG over Mikal Bridges,
No.
which I thought was crazy. Also, I asked
No.
the question. No one in Knicks world basically seems to think that like besides this one account thought that the Knicks should have gotten Paul George over Mikal Bridges. That doesn't seem like it makes any sense.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense at all.
I mean, Paul George maybe next season will be better than Mikal Bridges, but Mikal Bridges has like 5 or 6 years in his prime left versus Paul George. Like this could be the last year of his prime.
Yeah, I mean, he had his first healthy season in like 5 years. Do you really trust that that's going to continue?
It's also he's 34. Most guys do actually fall off. I know LeBron wants a 10-year deal now, but like most guys eventually fall off.
LeBron's the vast exception. Yeah, the odds are that Paul George is going to fall off like this summer. Like he's 35.
LeBron's 39?
Yeah.
Paul George will be 34 next year, by the way, I think.
I think he's 34
so-
now. He's turning 35.
Okay, whatever. I thought he was, but LeBron at the end of the year will turn 40. He is asking for a 3-year huge. I mean, obviously the numbers each year should be huge, but like a 3-year giant money contract for the Lakers.
Paul
I think
George
you
just turned
believe-
34 2 months
Okay.
ago.
Okay, do you really believe LeBron's going to be good for the next? I mean, he was great this year. I mean, like he wasn't as good as he was previously. He's still like a all-star, all NBA, like third team player. Do you think can he keep this up? 40, 41 years old?
I've been saying no for the last 5 years. So at this point, I don't know. He's an alien. Like,
And if you're the Lakers, like, do you just say, "Great, we get 3 more years of LeBron," or you're like, "Dude, like, do we really have to do this with you?"
at this point, like he got you a championship. He's doesn't look like he's slowing down. You just whatever. Like,
Yeah, I think you just have to sign him. It's just crazy that like,
yeah,
it's crazy how old he is and how good he still is.
yeah. It doesn't make any sense really.
Okay, Shank writes, my main question would be that we don't have a center with a decent hook shot or free throw percentage anymore. So how are we going to unseat the Celtics? KP's going to burn us as much as I hate to admit it.
Maybe. I mean, KP still hasn't proven he could stay healthy for an entire playoff run.
KP's out until like January.
Yeah, and
I mean, he'll be back at some point, but just he's out till like January.
and Horford's what, like the second oldest guy in the league now. So
I mean, the Celtics are going to be really good next year.
I'm
Like,
not saying
it's,
they aren't. I'm just saying like it's not like their front court is like this super formidable. Like, you know, we need to stock up on big guys. Like, they're tough when healthy. I don't have any faith.
I mean, we just got Mikal Bridges, and I mean, Bridges plus OG, if they're healthy, like that's a pretty good It's pretty good guys to guard Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum.
Yeah, yeah.
Currently, the centers available are not great.
It's kind of a depressing list, to be honest.
It is really. Let's see. Any restricted free? There's no one that restricted. Okay, unrestricted free agents left who are not signed yet. Oh wait, what? Oh, also this one. Sorry, now I'm looking at available. That's what I did wrong. Okay. We got Rashawn Holmes.
He looks good when he's healthy. He's injured a lot.
He's also. I mean, previously he was making 11. I would take him. There's James Wiseman we talked about. We talked about Wagner, Daniel Tice, I guess. Cody Zeller, I guess. Javal McGee, no. Tristan Thompson, no. Boban, no. The list is really like bad from here.
So Holmes hasn't played over 45 games in 3 years. And last year was 17, and the year before was 23. So
Please no on Taj. Taj can't come back.
well, now we saw Taj is pretty much done.
Yeah, I mean, Taj does not have the same gift that LeBron has for staying, being this good still. So really, I'm rooting for Wiseman. I guess I would take Holmes, but
He's just never healthy.
I think Wiseman would be the guy I go. Maybe Cody Zeller. Cody Zeller's not terrible. I guess Wagner. Fuck.
That's why I'm thinking they might want to make a trade, because I don't know.
You're right. It has to be a trade, but they don't have much to trade. I know they still have some draft capital to trade, not much, but some.
Yeah.
But they don't really, unless they re-sign Alec, because you're not going to trade any of the core players.
Right.
And also, I mean, it'd be insane to trade Deuce. He's got a great contract.
Yeah.
You're not trading. I mean,
The only guy to get
there
traded
is-
would be Mitch, if you think you're getting a healthier, better center.
But I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't
think,
either. I'm just saying that's the only guy to trade. Like, they're not going to
Well,
trade.
people would say Randall. The Knicks don't really have another power forward option. I mean, you bring back Precious. I guess maybe the Knicks are just like, hey, we're going to bring back Precious. If we can, we'll have Mitch. We have Sims. We got this guy we drafted. Let's see how this goes.
Might be good enough. Frank writes.
Isn't there like some dude in Europe playing center we could find, or a G League that's not this bad?
I don't know. Frank, if you want to email us, nyknickspodcast@gmail.com. Frank writes, this question is specifically for Mark, as I'm certain Jay will know the answer. Which of the following idiotic takes was not made on the cesspool that is Knicks Facebook?
Okay.
1. Why can't we take a shot at Bol Bol or Mo Bamba? 2. Julius Randle felt that Isaiah Hartenstein was coming for his job and demanded Leon make him walk. 3. Good riddance, Isaiah Hartenstein. His defense is piss poor. Next. 4. I knew loyalty spelled Layalty anymore. The New York Knicks made IHart. He is who he is today. Or 5. Since we lost IHart, I think the Knicks need to look for 1 or 2 backup centers for Mitch. Anthony Davis or Cat are good for this system.
Okay, which one was not actually made? These are all real except for one?
Yeah.
Okay, well, the Cat and Anthony Davis one is too dumb to even be on there. There's no way that one's real.
The answer is Julius Randle felt that Isaiah was coming for his job and demanded Leon let him walk.
I thought I was going to pick that one, but that Anthony Davis one it just seemed too dumb for even.
And then Jay writes, if you think we can't sign IHart, Rose, do you think Rose will trade for Cat?
If we can't sign IHart, do you think Rose will trade for Cat? No. I don't think. First of all, I don't think Minnesota would do that. I don't think the Knicks are going to. You'd also the match Cat salary would be it's a big.
He's
move.
got a huge contract. That would be like a Randall Mitch, maybe even probably Randall and Mitch together, right?
Yeah, you're like, oh, cool, and we got this guy that doesn't work well with our coach. This is awesome.
Well, also it's like, okay, you got him. Now we need a power forward. It's like you're just swapping like holes in the roster. So
it would make no sense. Tristan,
I get that he's an upgrade at center, but then you have nothing at power forward.
I guess he is, but he doesn't. His defense isn't great, and Tibbs likes a defensive anchor at center. And I feel like generally it seems to work having a defensive anchor at center.
Yeah,
like the guys like Vucevic, who's all offense, no defense, doesn't seem to produce wins.
I just think the Knicks have enough offense now that like everybody can shoot. Like, there's going to be a lot of ball movement. There's a lot of chemistry. Like, I don't think the Knicks necessarily need a scoring center.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the Celtics, who we should look at because they won the title, KP still played defense. He could still be a rim protector. Horford, I mean, more limited at this point in his career. But you also had all 4 other guys in the court, which is awesome at defense. And the Knicks, Brunson's never going to be awesome at defense. The other 3 guys on the court will be awesome on defense. Or 2, it depends on, I guess, you could put a really good defensive lineup out there. But the Knicks need another center. Clearly we're worried that Mitch will get injured. And even if he's not injured, you need a second center anyway who can really fit in well with the system. We're trying to win the title. We're not trying to compete anymore.
Right. Buddha says, can we just try Boogie on a vet minimum off the bench and then can start when Mitch, no double-double, gets injured?
I'm thinking that's not a good idea.
Boogie, I don't know. Boogie seems to, he's kind of old and injury prone, right? Like, I think the Knicks have to go for somebody who's just healthier.
I mean, Wiseman is healthier. He gets injured also, I guess. But he's young. He's moldable. He's got a ton of freaking talent.
Yeah, I mean, the more I see who's out there, the more I'm like, yeah, maybe try Wiseman.
Tristan writes, do we think Sims is actually going to be any type of a good backup for Mitch? Surely we need someone else.
Correct. We need somebody else.
I mean, okay. Important game, a must-win game. Would you rather have Sims playing center or Precious playing center?
Precious.
Mitch is injured. Who are you starting? You're starting Sims or Precious?
Precious.
Yeah. I still think Precious is more versatile, can just do a lot more than I think Sims, the more I've seen of Sims, I don't think he's getting that much better from here.
I think Tibbs is one bad center away from going, fuck it, small ball, Randall at the 5, Bridges or OG at the 4. Like, they can play pretty good small ball.
You could roll that out with this team.
I think you could roll that out against a lot of teams. Obviously not a team like Philly, but I think you could roll that out against a lot of teams.
Right. I mean, I guess you can do a lot of things. That's why also you can bring back Precious. It's just that against bigger teams like Philly, you need a plan.
Yeah.
You're right. The small ball Randall can totally be, and maybe their thought with doing this whole Mikal Bridges sign, because you're like, how's it going to work? I mean, like we have DiVincenzo playing. How is Bridges going to fit in and so forth? Maybe their thought is that like Randall will play center, but Randall's also going to be like coming off a major injury.
Yeah, I mean, he should be healthy though, right? Please tell me he's going to be healthy.
Yeah, I guess so. I
'Cause-
mean, please tell me to me, but it's going to be. I assume Randall and we should remember this. I assume probably until January, Randall will look worse. Like people will look at Randall's performance and go, he doesn't look very good because it's going to take him a while to get in the flow of things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's what
Like,
happened after the
I
ankle
don't
injury.
think he's at the point where he can.
But
Yeah,
he got into the
this is a
groove
bigger
like
injury.
after like 8 or 9
it's gonna
games.
take him a while.
Like let's not overreact if the first 2
Yeah,
weeks he
something
doesn't
like
look
that.
good.
He may not look good for the first month of the season, and then maybe awesome afterwards. Okay, Scott writes, if Mitch can't stay healthy, Precious will need to be signed and developed. You got to get Precious back. He's the
Yeah.
who said okay. Would you rather have Rashawn Holmes, James Wiseman, Wagner, or Precious? You can only have one of them. And keeping in mind that Precious is not even a center.
I know. I'm thinking Wagner. But I think he's probably the least likely out of those to be on the Knicks.
I mean, that could be. I mean, Wagner. How tall is Wagner?
I mean, he averaged I
Yeah,
think
I don't.
11 and 5 in 17 minutes. 11 and 7.
Sounds good.
I mean, that's
Can't argue with that.
I don't know. That's all you'd need him for, really, is 17 minutes.
You might need him for 30 minutes. He's 6'11".
But yeah, I think he's probably the least likely.
I mean,
to be
also-
on the team.
In theory, he should be like this. Orlando just signed Goga. Like, Abe Wagner's on the way out.
Be weird to split up the brothers, but we've seen it happen before.
Maybe like I assume like if your brother, I guess James not a brother, but if he did, like you would, if he's like, hey, I can go to this other team and get major minutes. I'm just not gonna get the minutes here. You'd be like, yeah, go do that. I'm good here. It's fine. Go to the other team.
Yeah, I mean, it's happened before. We had the Morris brothers played together for like 5 games. Like, it's not like once brothers
Yeah.
play together, they're never gonna split up.
Right. It's not like Giannis's brothers on Milwaukee, not because they're like, man, I just can't leave. I have so many great options. I just can't leave because my brother's on the team. It's more than like you're like, hey, your brother's giving you a job here.
Yeah,
Like he wouldn't be in the his alternative was just not to play in the league.
yeah.
By the way, Milwaukee's like, okay, cool. We won it all on Dame. We got the Celtics a title, and now it looks like our team's even getting worse.
I mean, they're clearly
Older, like,
4th best in the East now, right?
yeah, they really are. I think there was rumors they're going to lose other guys on the team.
Even if
Like
they
maybe
don't,
Lopez.
like Dame's getting up there. Lopez might leave, but even if he's not, he's one of the older players in the league.
I think Lopez is still signed, but yeah, he's one of the older players. Guys can't stay on the court. Yeah, I think they're getting worse.
I think they're a distant 4th. I really think it's just
Yeah.
Celtics, Knicks, Sixers is like the hierarchy in the East.
Yeah. Celtics. Yeah. Okay, so but the minute the show's done recording, we will have major news for the Knicks, and they'll make a huge move, and we'll be like, "Oh my God, this is amazing!" And Jay will be like, "Fucking Mark."
So, yeah, just a couple other moves. Batum left the Sixers. He's going back to the Clippers, which
Okay.
seems like an interesting, not good move for.
People are pointing out also the Paul George trade. The Clippers gave up a lot for Paul George to just not do anything with him and not Kawhi together.
Might be one of the worst trades of all time.
In retrospect, it doesn't look very good. I mean, the one thing in defense of it, people have said, without Paul George, without giving up, if you didn't get Paul George, Kawhi wasn't going to sign. So, like, the trade was kind of for both of them.
Yeah, but they had one deep playoff run, and
Yeah.
like
They didn't do anything with it.
they had two first round exits. I think they missed it one year. Like it's been really bad. The very first
And
year,
then
I
they
think
won
they
it.
made the conference finals, and it's been all garbage since.
And then they went all in to get James Harden, and that worked out even worse. I
So
mean, now they lost Paul George.
they just re-upped Harden 2 years, 35 million a year.
Yeah. Any other interesting contracts given out?
Klay Thompson left. Apparently, he turned down a 4-year offer from the Lakers to play on the Mavericks.
Oh, he signed? Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't see that.
Yeah,
He
so
signed 3 years, 50 million.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
but
What's
the Mavs lost Jones, so I feel like they're worse.
uh the Mavs are still pretty good. What's Golden State doing besides like wasting the end of Steph Curry's career?
And also, can you believe they just Thompson's gone and they got nothing? Like that seems crazy.
Yeah, they
to
got
me.
nothing. What is like? Yeah, they lost him. Golden State's done nothing. They're so far all they've done is get rid of Chris Paul and lose Clay and Chris Paul.
They
wasn't
lost Paul.
much of a loss,
They lost
but
Paul and
you also
Clay
lost
for nothing, though. Like
nothing.
ever since
Golden State's gonna be. I mean,
ever since their GM left, like the new GM's just like, I don't know how to like get things for assets. I'm just gonna like let them all expire. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean I can't believe they couldn't do anything to at least trade Clay for something. Or why not just bring Clay back? I mean, you're not doing anything anyway.
I mean, I think the thinking was that Clay was gonna want too much, and then he ended up getting 16 per. It's not that much.
Not a crazy contract.
He's getting
No,
he's
it's
getting
a very
Obi Toppin
reasonable
money.
deal.
That's Obi Toppin money.
Yeah. And Golden State, are you just saying like, hey, we have an all-time on our team, and we're just gonna say, fuck it, we'll just sell some tickets. People will watch Steph Curry at the end of his career, and we're not gonna do anything.
So Philly also lost DeAnthony Melton. So I don't know. Philly got Paul George, but they're not very deep right now unless they can pull out a few more moves.
Oh, the Warriors got Melton. Okay, the Warriors are better now. Warriors are fine. There's got to be more. Like, not a lot has happened, so I imagine there'll be some big trades this offseason. Like, Jazz will trade his marketing. Like, I don't know. Some trades are coming.
OKC is going all
But
in.
Golden
Though.
State's got to be like, hey, OKC.
Yeah, they're going all in. They just locked down Isaiah Joe and Aaron Wiggins. So basically, their entire core is locked in for years now. I mean, they're going to be good
It's
for
smart.
a long
I mean,
time.
they got Hart, obviously, IHart. Yeah, they got IHart. They got they traded for
Caruso.
what's his name from the Bulls?
Caruso, yeah.
Caruso. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you're, it's also like once you see your window open, you got to go all in. Like the window can go away. Like as OKC experienced last time when they had Westbrook, Harden, and Durant, that window closed real fast.
Yeah, windows close super, super fast. You gotta push all your chips in. So that's why I expect the Knicks to do something.
But I mean, I don't know what else the Knicks can do. I mean, you're right. They're going to do something. I just don't like. They have no one left to trade besides. I don't think they're trading Mitch.
So the thing with this front office, which is good, is that nothing leaks. Like whatever move they
No.
make, we're gonna have no idea what it is. Like nobody saw the Bridges thing coming. That would just came out of nowhere.
Okay, so I think the roster is pretty much set for the season. I think you're going to add one center, and that is it. You think more is going to happen?
I think there's gonna be two more additions. Maybe one of them might be
Oh,
Precious,
okay.
but I think they're
I
gonna.
mean, I
get
don't.
a
I mean,
center
okay,
and a
Precious.
power forward.
I think they might resign Precious, but I don't think that's a. Like, I meant in addition to the team, someone that's not on the team already.
Okay. Yeah. No,
You think something
yeah.
else is coming?
I think so. Don't hold me to that, but I do think something's coming. Mitch has also been
I'm going to hold you to that, Jay.
Mitch has been posting his usual vague, weird things on Snapchat, like wait for it and something's cooking. So I don't know if he's expecting to get traded or he's expecting the Knicks to make a move, but he's definitely alluding to something happening soon.
I don't think Mitch knows. Like maybe he's been told something's coming. I guess maybe he's been told that. I don't think he's. I just don't think they discuss this with the players. I don't think they have such inside information.
I think some players get discussed and some don't. Obviously, I mean, they didn't even tell Brunson that Hart was coming, so I guess they don't tell the players a lot.
They don't always. I mean, like yeah, LeBron will know, but like yeah, that was crazy. The video of like Brunson finding out that Hart's coming.
Yeah.
But I don't think Mitch. And Mitch was also kind of like he took a offense at some people saying that he misses games and pointed out that like he's been healthy a lot more than people are saying.
Yeah, but his argument was that he played more than half of the games most years, and I don't think 50% of the game should be the benchmark for being healthy.
That's true. It's just funny that he's arguing with people about this on online. That's all.
Yeah, he's wrong. Like 50% is not a good benchmark for guys. I only missed like 35 games a season.
So and people should remember though, pre-injury Mitch was having a phenomenal season last year.
Absolutely, we were talking defensive player of the year for like half the
Yeah.
season.
He is tremendously capable. We need someone else with
Yes.
him. Okay.
All right,
Anything else,
so
Jay?
no, that's it for today. We'll do another episode next week when the Knicks finalize all their moves. We're NY Knicks Podcast on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Patreon, and Twitter, and nyknickspodcast@gmail.com if you want to email us. And yeah, I'm guessing as soon as I post this, they'll make a move, but we'll see what happens.
Major move coming. Major move. Major like earth-shattering move coming. You were like, oh my god.
You ask what Chicago's doing, but they just locked in Patrick Williams for 5 years, $90 million. So there you go.
I do think there's a certain amount of with the cap, like you have to sign if you can re-sign a guy and use his salary, use him as an asset later. I guess I don't know.
I mean, you got to pay somebody. The cap
You
is
gotta pay
140, and I think you have to use 90% of that.
Right, which makes things kind of out of like OKC probably had more that they had like 40 million available. They're like, well, we could give 29 to Isaiah, which sounds crazy, but we're not going to use the rest of the money in any way that's going to be better than having Isaiah here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So either way, the Knicks better today than when they ended the season?
Yes.
Why do you say that?
Well, if last week somebody said the Nets want to trade IHart for Bridges straight up, what would you say?
I mean,
You'd
obviously,
say,
like,
I really love
about to fight
IHart.
the scenario, but that's an interesting way to put it. I think getting a guy like Mick, I think it's harder to find a Bridges than it is to find a center. So I would do that trade. I would 100% do that trade. That's a good way to put it, Jay.
So there you
What
go.
if they said you have to throw in 30 draft picks to do that trade?
IHart and 5 first rounders, 6 first rounders?
Yes. If that was the trade, but whatever. The Knicks. Also, I'm convinced that Leon doesn't like drafting guys that much. So whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Either way, the team looks a lot more interesting. I love having Bridges on the team. The vibes will be immaculate. We add some interesting guys in the draft. Between now and the playoffs, I don't know when they'll figure this out, but they will figure out another center. It makes sense.
Yeah, they'll be fine. They'll figure it out. We'll be good. Knicks are going to win the championship, and then we can end our 15, 16-year run on this show.
The Knicks are winning it. Like I'm 100%. I am all in that this is happening. Like this team, that was the move. Bridges put them over the top. They're going to do this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, everybody, and we will be back next week, and we'll recap the rest of the moves and talk about what the final roster looks like, and then we'll probably take a little hiatus until something else interesting happens. We have a comedy podcast called The Brink of Sanity, brinkofsanityshow.com, or just look up Brink of Sanity podcast. and we'll be doing more of those until there's some relevant basketball stuff going on.
Hell yeah.
All right. So yeah, thanks for joining. We'll be back soon.
Goodbye, everybody. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye. You cannot go away. I'm gonna leave you. It's the end. Goodbye. Goodbye. Just leave me alone. Feels so good to say goodbye. I'm sick and tired and I'm saying goodbye. Goodbye, girl. Goodbye, 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 everybody.
All right. Thank you everybody for joining. A big crowd tonight.
Awesome.
We will.
Have I told you about my luck with vacations?
Your luck? No.
Not luck, but my plan, like things that have happened since when I plan a vacation somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So I planned a vacation this year, early in the year for Israel, and a war broke out.
Mm-hmm.
We had planned to go next week, or I guess this week, to the Cayman Islands. I don't know if you've looked at the news, but a Category 4 hurricane is heading for the Cayman Islands.
Oh yeah, it was like the first Category 4 in June, like ever or something.
Yeah. That's where we were flying to. We were flying to the storm. So Liz and I pivoted, and we booked yesterday a trip. We're going to Paris tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
And you know what's going on in Paris?
No. Oh yeah, there's
Riots.
riots, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like we're like just to be nice, we shouldn't book a trip somewhere because that place is going to suffer major problems.
It's a sign. It's like this is what happens
Right.
when you leave during free agency period.
We're going to book a trip to California. There'll be an earthquake. We'll book. It'll come out later that we had a trip booked for Ukraine 2 years ago.
Well, hopefully it goes good. So you leave tomorrow?
Yeah, we leave tomorrow night. While I'm there, I'm going to be scouting guys for the Knicks because I know we love getting French guys.
Yeah, I mean, you should just talk to every tall guy you see in France, see what happens.
I'd be like, hey, do you have a taller brother who can play center?
Can you
Yeah,
shoot
we're
a free
playing
throw?
tomorrow. Can you shoot a free throw? That'd be really helpful.
Hook shot would be great too.
I don't really know you, but do you know why Frank sucks?
All right, I'm gonna shut the room down. Thank